Dear Dhamma friends, today also we are going to have time for the question and answer session. To start the session, I would like to invite Sunil to present the already written questions. Meanwhile, we keep the invitation open if anyone wish to contribute or any other questions to raise. Welcome.
Venerable Sir, thank you for your Dhamma talk yesterday. It was very beneficial to me. I was and still am at times burdened by duties. What is the skillful way of saying no? When I say no, I feel guilty and at times selfish. When I say yes, I am frustrated and at times angry. Both affect my meditation practice. Thero.
So at the outlook, that kind of a situation, we have to say kind of an unfortunate situation. Either way is burdensome. So it is usually in the Asiatic people, we consider towards this consumerization. Whenever you brought up in a country like this, your natural tendency is to go and buy, you don't know why. And when you come home, and you have to answer it, and it's in a way thinning down your pocket. The other side, wastage of thing. So there only the answer is say no or say enough. So this is sometimes people consider as unpolite. So therefore they feel just keep the trend with the society as well as other kind of thing. You keep on purchasing and ultimately that consuming, leading so much of questions. So therefore in the this is something related to ethical questions or ethical responsibilities. There also one must assess my capacity. The people, they are in Sri Lanka, they have done a social survey to the people, those who are in a productive age from the, as far as the economy is concerned, from 20s to 55, 60, and then they have done, they have came out. Most of them are overtaxed because that generation has to look after their children, their wife, mother and father, wife's mother and father, and therefore so much of demand. So they have to do overtime and they have to keep up the social status. Now they are maybe living in the capital city, and ultimately what happened is that particular person burning the candle from the both the ends, not a single person looking towards that particular person's well-being or health or any kind of thing. So he himself also not giving that attention because he also under attention. So ultimately what happened was Sri Lanka won the prize. We are the highest amount of committing suicides in Sri Lanka because of the tension. And after doing the social survey, Nandasila Ratnapala, I think, it's a very good social worker, he summoned a meeting only for that kind of a people in the age group and told, please reconsider that you are in such a tension. When you are considering the Sri Lankan, Sinhalese history, there never had been such a situation taxing the working generation in this way. And if you also considering all these and not considering your own well-being, the biggest that is called the biggest ruining part of our economy. So therefore at least give 30 minutes for Anapanasati meditation, you to have your own well-being. Otherwise you are in such a tension, and therefore work for 23 hours and 30 minutes for others' benefits. At least have 30 minutes for yourself, otherwise you are burning the candle from the both the ends. So therefore you must understand, must have apprehension, what is my capacity? Other people, those who are demanding, have no any sense. Keep on taxing, keep on taxing. So therefore, unless otherwise you know the clutch and the brake, you are not a good driver. Whenever necessary you put the clutch. Whenever necessary you must put the brake and the gears. Otherwise, if everything is run by or monitored by or set by someone else, you are just become a puppet. Everything governed by others, and agenda is set by others. Not a single person can think about your benefit, your well-being, your to the compassion. Because they are not meditating people. They don't know what is the well-being. They don't know what is the compassion means. So therefore, that is not kind of a callousness. That is not kind of incompassionate. That is not a kind of lack of sympathy or sentiment. This is realistic. So when and where you become a meditator, or specifically when you become a monk in a country like Sri Lanka, you can't believe 24 hours a day, 7 days per week, 30 days per month, 365 days a year, endless, unless otherwise you put a stop. So therefore everyone happy, everyone wish to have blessings and this ceremony and that ceremony, while you are standing, while you are sitting, while you are lying down, while you are walking, every place. So monk has to say, no, enough. So if I am to accuse you people, if I am to criticize you people, if I am to find fault with you people running families think you are very busy. Nonsense.
But Bhante, sometimes there is a situation that perhaps is a dilemma. If I don't do for that reason,
I mean, you have the capacity.
May not.
You have the capacity, even if you wish, maybe overtaxing, then who is going to put the clutch and the brake? Are you going to give the clutch and the brake to the other party? Being sitting in the driving seat? Nonsense. That is why the Buddha says, not only that the Buddha says, if someone is offering something, it is up to you to have the limit whether to accept it or not. Not to the person offering. Once you accept it, it is come under your responsibilities. You have to maintain it. You can't throw away. So therefore, this is as the offering, that is something for requisites. And the invitations are coming. So it's full of invitation. That's a social life. So therefore, that the appropriate level is changing from morning to evening, society to society, location to location. So you must have, when Jnanarama, my teacher, he used to say, we monks, we have social obligations, and people come and ask this and that. So therefore have a regular timetable. Tell them, this time I am sitting, this time I am walking, this time I am giving a Buddha Puja, this time that's it. If you fit into that my timetable, I am adhering to my timetable. Then few years time, and that must be faithfully followed. Just not to show off the other party. When you are following not only the people, even the animals, even the climate, everything adopting to your timetable. So therefore you must have a backbone. And that is not to avoid anything, that is to say keep the balance. The social aspect, your own well-being, economical aspect, political aspect, social aspect, everything. So there is no set balance, there is no fixed formula. You have to adjust it accordingly, and there should have a fairness for all the parties, and satatabhyasa, the word Buddha used, a regular practice or adhering to a regular timetable. And when you are fixing the timetable, you can consult both the parties and say, this is the timetable we are going to fix, and please adhere to that. And it is not my personal view, this is what we constitutionalized, fix it, go on. And that you keep your mind, your timetable open whenever you wish, according to your this thing, but as far as the convention is concerned, or both the parties are concerned, that is the norm. But in the day-to-day life, in the families, very difficult. That may be difficult because very difficult for you to program. There's so much of variables are there. Yeah. So therefore, even then, start something. I know some families in Sri Lanka, they are living a normal family life. They say from 7:30 to 8:30, the elders are meditating. So they close the door and go and meditate. Ask the children, don't make noise. If you have any studies, you do it. And one couple came and told, Bhante, now we are practicing it for 3 years or so. All the villagers are giving the consent. They never put loud radios and kind of thing. They know we are meditating. So we are elders in the family, in the village. So we are very happy. They are not meditating, but at least they appreciate. So likewise, that the person who taken the spiritual life, taken this kind of a thing, they also they must have a role model for others to do. But it must not be just for the sake of theory or for the disciplinarian kind of characteristics. It must be a practical one. That even the non-meditators must have ability to understand the rationality behind it. Then it will be not only your other activities, your behavior, your timetable itself will become a role model or example for others to put up. So that is how the Buddha, 45 years, he had his own fixed timetable doing. Ultimately, he became the first man in the human history who worked and proposed himself a timetable and adhered to the timetable, and he recommended that any person can do it like that.
Bhante, please explain 4 consecutive thought moments. Is it when one says, I am here and now 4 times?
For that, of course, that if you are studying Abhidhamma or commentaries, it says, it gives in a graphic form. Whenever example given is a person sleeping under a mango tree and ripe mango drops. He awake and he scan through to see what make him to wake up, a sound or vision or smell or touch or taste, and that is the first thought moment this is. And he see the mango, that is the second thought moment, and then his attention cut off all the connection to the ear, nose, tongue, body, and goes to the eye door, and that is the third thought moment. And he recognized this mango dropped, and for that only broken my sleep, and now he confirmed, and the fifth moment reconfirm it or second the suggestion. That is how he recognized I got up, and that was due to a mango, and so I do only I confirm it. Likewise it says, to have a confirmation, it has to go through just like a white paper in a parliament. I have to put there, I have to read it first time, second time, third time, and did the vote, and then only it is published in the government or in the news media. Likewise, nothing can happen in only one shot. There is a procedure. So it is being suggested in the mind itself. It is, but this was not exactly given in the canon. Canon has given some clues. This is how it happened, but later commentators, they say if something to get confirmed, if something to get seconded, this like process happens. So when and where you try, according to the example I given, you try to be here and now, and you don't know what kind of experience you are going to have because your mind never been there. So therefore, just you learn. Just be here and now is something new dimension, new paradigm. And you try to avoid past and the future, this place and that place, this man or that person. And by avoiding, accidentally it may can come on here and now. And then you are getting a completely new experience. You don't know it is something healthy, productive, or it is a result of your practice, or it's mistaken, or it's something wrong. And then you have to get the reconfirmation of the mind. No, this is due to my early efforts, and that is how the here and now I experience, and that you can't share with anyone. Here and now experience is, you can't put into words. You can't share it. So only your past experience only, you can reconfirm it. So likewise, bringing someone to, or bringing oneself to here and now is one part, maybe 50%. And very recognition and appreciation of the second, the same thing, or seconding of the same thing is completely new other thing. So therefore both must be in hand, and then only you can say, yes, I am a person, occasionally I can go into here and now. After learning, after discussing in 3 years' time about be here and now, I remember one day I was coming from the university, and people are moving up and down, lot of pedestrians, here and there vehicles are going. So I just wanted to practice walking meditation. I had no any experience. For the first time I learned it, and then I thought better not to have any companions to talk. When in Sri Lanka when we are talking, we always chat with. Here or when we come here we go mad. People are not talking each other. And in Sri Lanka all the time katha basaka. Then it happened me to play some tricks to leave my friends behind, and while I am walking I try to be fully mindful in the street. Left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg. And when it's happening, all of a sudden it's a kind of a shift of the paradigm. I felt something like everything is happening, everything happening effortlessly, and you feel the fullness of it. And immediately I thought, that may be here and now. And immediately that thought moment broken. And again I tried to come back, no, because I was so thrilled. Thrills and frills. So what I did was, the close by place, walking distance, Venerable Dhammika was there, the Australian monk who was very helpful for me. I went there, and horrible enough, my English was so bad. I was so enthusiastic to explaining him. Bhante, what you did was correct. I can do it. I did it. This is what I can't understand a word what you are talking about. Then I told, anyway, thank you very much. Then he told, whatever may be safe advice is, repeat it again and again. See whether it's an accident or it's a result of your effort. So that is such a thrilling thing. Doing it, achieving it, and verily recognizing it, or appreciating it, or refining it, then you become Buddha. Because it is you complete your noble quest. No second person involved. Of course, beforehand you have to listen it, you have to have the striving energy to do it, and when it happens, never in the first occasion by listening, never in the first occasion you put into practice, never in the first occasion you experience. After long mistakes only it happens. So that is the practical part. Anything in the world, if it is pragmatic and practical, this is the way. You are the person suggesting, you are the person seconding, you are the person going to get the benefit, and ultimately you feel everything within that thought moment. It's fulfilled. Otherwise, each and everything we achieved so far is attributable to some person or something or some chemical. All these are second hand. This is original. So therefore, first and foremost, you achieve it. It is almost like becoming Buddha. Second thing is how to get it into again and again. That is a separate issue. This indicates you have the potential. And if you attack in a proper way, if you tackle in a proper way, possible. When the alignments are okay, possible. When the alignments are not in line with, then you appear like impotent or impossible. But your basic potential still there. So therefore keep on fighting.
Dear Bhante, this is what I do experience during meditation. Come to here and now, ground myself or scan, awareness of in-breath at the nostril. I cannot feel it at the tip of the nose, but little interior to the orifice. Awareness of out-breath, same as above. After a while I cannot feel the breath, or breath almost disappears. Then I feel heaviness in my shoulders and arms. At this point I am unable to see, feel beginning, middle or end of the out or in breath. Lately I feel there is something about to feel, but I cannot describe what is about to break. When this happens, I try to go back in to the breath and unable to feel it. What are your recommendations? Thank you.
This I consider as a very original and pragmatic kind of a presentation, but even then, if I am to find fault with it, if I am to criticize it, if I am to add something it, this particular person has taken the breath premature. So, to make it simple, to make it very gradual, just sit and experience here, now I am sitting. Before going to any kind of thing. No premeditated thought that I must go to the breath or I must go to the rising and falling or kind of thing. So sitting and just understanding, here now I am sitting is more preliminary, no religious, it is just you experience it. So then when and where you have to bring the mind or let the mind to come in, it must be invitive, it must be pleasant, it must be desirable. In order to make the situation desirable, check with your body knowledge whether you are sitting symmetrically. Check with your body knowledge whether your each and every limbs and the muscles are relaxed. So this is the way the mind will come in at home. So therefore you are using rational knowledge. Westerners put it as the body knowledge. Ask the body, am I sit comfortably, symmetrically, and a relaxed way. And then you try to give the attention to that very relaxation, that very symmetry, that very peaceful situation. And when the mind come in, that means your suggestion is being seconded by the mind. Mind is an unpredictable fellow. Only thing you can do is do all conducive conditions and be invitive and let it come in. When it comes, it is difficult, as I mentioned, to explain it, that experience, but I would suggest 3 points. One, to make sure or verify. When the mind comes in, you get a kind of experience to say you are not dead. That's a very profound experience. Second thing is, it is a very profoundly, it will say you are not sleeping. Third one is, profoundly it will come and say you are not unconscious. So I am not dead, I am not asleep, I am unconscious is the experience you get. It's a summary of all the three. So that is called just being. In the simple English it is called being. So before going to technical sides, Anapanasati or rising and falling or whatever may be, just make sure ground clear, I am not dead, I am not sleeping, I am not unconscious, and you are just be. This is the most difficult part in the world. Just be. We are top class performers on that art and this art, and you have all the skill and kind of thing, but whenever you to be here and now, lost, utter lost. So what the Buddha is telling is, bring everyone back to the zero level, the datum level, the rock bottom. And whenever you come there and you find that need no any second anything, second person, no any kind of thing, and any place, anywhere, any posture, this is something possible. But to start with, what you do is you give up all the jobs, all the responsibilities, come and sit on your cushion in order to make the situation more inviting and desirable, and give it. And more you practice, you may understand it is not necessarily in a meditation center. It is not a necessity to sit and wait. Not all the other conditions, but at the beginning it says it's worth, give the as much as possible conducive conditions and experience it, and in order to maintain it, in order to have the momentum of it, in order to have the acceleration of it, only the meditation techniques are there. All the others are, so far I explained that come and sit and be here and now, no religious. It is nothing to worry about this and that sectarianism, nothing. And then onward, in order to maintain this just being, you have to have a pivotal point. You have to have a benchmark. You have to have a reference point. That is what we call kammatthana. Maybe anapanasati or rising and falling, whatever may be, it is representing you are not dead, it is representing you are not asleep, it is representing you are not unconscious, and therefore something happening through involuntary muscles must be your reference point, your pivotal point, your benchmark. Otherwise your ego involvement, will involvement, and the volitional involvement is there. So the breath is a very strange thing. You can do either way, with voluntary muscles or involuntary muscles. But very clearly Buddha mentioned, the breath that you are observing must be involuntary, effortless. But I have experienced more than 40% people, whenever they try to do anapanasati, they force breathe. They can't do away with this involvement. This is whenever Bhante I try to fix the attention to the breath, I feel like forcing myself. So therefore, don't go towards the breath, just be here and now, just sit, just being, and once that is there, ask the mind, what is the most prominent, conspicuous reference point, the pivotal point, the benchmark, and that must be a practical one, not suggested by the teacher, not what you find in the book. And if you frequently associating that kind of a object, that will be your walking stick, that will be your companion in your trip. So therefore it must be a very cheap one, neutral one, without any kind of volitional involvement, no voluntary muscles, involuntary muscles. So therefore this explanation is very good. But right from the beginning, it is searching breath, preconceived ideas that I must go to the breath. So that is the only thing I would like to correct it. And the way I present it is still simple, still beginner's mind. So therefore always try to be with the simple beginner's mind. And for the experienced yogis, once you clarify this groundwork, the others will very quickly gather the momentum, then you will go there, but don't expect that to happen. Always assume the beginner's mind, then you are very humble, so there won't be any complaint, no any expectation, just be.
Dear Bhante, sometimes when I encounter difficulties in meditation and in life, I am very hard on myself, but I often don't realize it until after suffering quite a bit. Do you have any advice for how to recognize when I am being hard on myself sooner and how to deal with it right when it arises?
2 sentences. I am hard with myself. Which one is real me? I am hard with myself. You see the duality. Get me the paper. No, it is very clear. Grammatically you can answer this question. Where is the No. Yes. It says, when I am being hard on myself, I am on myself. So out of these two, which one is the real myself, real I? Otherwise, one is upon the other, this duality is there. The first question, I am very hard on myself. And second part also it says, I am being hard on myself. I am on myself. So 2 people. Which one you are going to recognize as the intrinsic one? Which one is the real one? One may be falsified. Which one is falsified and which one is the reality? If you happen to read the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, this is the point he got through. He had such a panic attack, and whenever the thing happened, 2-3 days it is consuming, and he feel like committing suicide, no other way. He was in 26 years old or something like that. So even if he is not in a panic attack, he is anticipating next time when it is going to happen, and then onward it's utter torturing. So ultimately he resorted to take sleeping tablets in big dose and to commit suicide, and he slept with in the hand stretched, keeping the tablets, and one day at 1 o'clock morning got the attack, and he get up and he says, I can't live with even 1 second with myself. What's the use of life? And then he analyzed the sentence, I can't live with myself. Which one is the correct one? Myself. Which one is the falsified one? And he says, soon he gives the attention, this panic, the inflict or the damage or the suffering became double, triple. Because such an attack, and he is thinking, I can't live with myself. Which one is the correct myself, which one is the falsified? And he was almost about to burst. And then he says, after it is going to unbearable level, so stark open, full of light, full calm, and he went, he says, 6 months continuously. And he used to go in gardens and sit in an open chair and look at the people, and still he feel the bliss he experienced just after analyzing this. And later he became a teacher, world teacher, within a very short time. The question was, I can't live with myself even for a split second. It's the grammar itself, it says the split mind. Which one you are going to recognize as my authentic, intrinsic self, and which one you are going to hate. That duality, each and every sentence we are talking. The early part is not telling me the latter part is not telling me the early part, therefore even grammatically we are not sound. Even in the thinking, even in the dialogue, even in the conversation, we never pour short to the point. We are always hovering around, never analyzing the situation. So therefore I am hard on myself. So who is the servant, who is the master? And which one you are going to recognize, the master as myself or the servant as myself? And you see how swiftly they are interchanging each other. At the moment you become a servant, at the become you become the master. One beautiful thing is, whole game is within yourself, no second party involved. By analyzing. So therefore, when and where it is happening, just analyze, this is we are suffering due to the language. We are suffering due to the civilization. We are suffering because we are living on others' eyes. If we are back to the barbaric life, we have no, just like animals, we can't express ourselves, no tension, no frustration. So that is why the Sigmund Freud used to say, it's the ambiguity of civilization. We try to prove others. We want to show our role model to the others. We want to exactly communicate with the other person. Each and every one is artificial. That is not our basic nature. So whenever we are explainable to others or communicable to others and try to show that I am a civilized being and I am a well-cultured being, so that is the one ultimately going to give. The internal you have the barbaric person inside. The reptilian mind, which is eating other living beings, torturing others, and natural selection. Everything is there. So therefore, to whom we are going to do this cheating? We are in a drama. We are in a role. We are how do you call, doing our part so honestly, and it's well paid. Sometimes we double action, triple action. One person playing 2-3 roles, and the Zen master says each person has at least 15 masks. To run one day, you must have different masks. At a time you are very happy and swelling, and other time you are so upset and long face, and all the things are changing. And when you are analyzing it, this is because we are living in society. We feel, and in English it is called, we are living on other's eyes. So as far as we are going to live other's eyes, we don't know intrinsic values in our life. We don't know why we are living. What is our achievement? What all these, what is the reference to your deathbed? At the death moment, what are these, all these, have they any bearings? Nothing. So therefore don't spend all the 24 hours just to satisfy the society. Have little time for yourself and see it. Even if you give 1 hour or half an hour, all the questions will not be answered, but you will get a different paradigm, you will get a different viewpoint. That is how the vipassana going to give kind of a reflection. So of course we can take the others' views and other reflections also as a raw material for your development, but the other person also must have certain amount of understanding on the mindfulness. If they are also concerned about their well-being, these people can give a positive feedback. Otherwise, we are always trying to show. We are living in a stage, performing. It's called drama. It's called, or other way we can say a dream. Or we are in the mirage. So analyze it and see, if I am hard on myself, which one is your intrinsic, authentic self? The Buddha says both are falsified. Not the master and the slave, the duality, both are falsified. Therefore, at a time you assume like a master, at a time you assume like a servant, and ultimately the pendulum is going up and down, and just wait and see. And when and where you become here and now, that duality reduces. Duality disappears. Then you can't communicate. There should have the duality to communicate. There should have inside, in and out, you and me, for communication. But for our living, communication is not a must. That as an example, you can say you can be here and now, and you can experience it. Whether you communicate or not, you are benefited. Communication is good for others to understand. So therefore, this kind of thing you can't, whenever you are in such a desperate situation, no quick answers. But knowing that, if at all there's a question, answer, that will be therapeutic. But the Buddha says therapeutic also necessary to keep the situation under control. But the most important thing is preventing. How can you prevent this kind of thing in time to come? So therefore you must love yourself. You must think about your well-being and give a little time. It must be the best time if possible, or otherwise, and try to do away with all the kind of thing. Just simply be here and see when and where you come here and now. No tension, no duality, no communication takes place, but it is very boring. It's very monotonous, very sleepy, very uncertain. So therefore, instead of boredom and monotony, you can have this kind of agony. This is the other side. If we wish to do away with this kind of, the Buddha came out with an alternative or different viewpoint and using the opposite of it. But we want to have a go-go show, we want to have a dramatic life, and meanwhile, lack of tension. Dramatic life means a tension. So if you are going to get it, other side of the coin you get the tension. So when there is no tension, boring, very monotonous, very sleepy, very uncertain, so much of doubts to entertain. So it is up to you.
Yesterday you mentioned that it's related to that question. I really like the answer. One of the things you said yesterday was that not identifying this is me, this is myself for that, that question. When we do that, if we don't identify ourselves that this is not me, then it's a little bit easier, like you said, right?
But here two people. I am hard on myself. So which one you are going to disclaim?
Both.
First and foremost, you have to understand the split. Before the disclaimer, before the dissolving, you have to understand when it happens, as is someone else. If you are going to recognize that I am the master, I am hard on myself, and the second self is the servant, I am master-like. Otherwise you can say, my mind is taking so much of problem, ultimately I am the person suffering, so I became a servant. Whatever it may be, it is just a mind-made thing. And therefore analyzing, before disclaimer, before the dissolving, analyzing itself, it says that this is the outcome of a sick mind. This is the outcome of a tense mind. There won't be any answer for that because question is falsified. It is based on the wrong foundation. If you are going to answer it, mere accepting the question itself wrong, and you are appreciating something wrong. So Buddha never take this kind of answer. He says analyze the question. Question coming from the falsified way. So by me accepting, I am appreciating a falsified base. I am not. So therefore there should have a certain amount of analytical power, certain amount of understanding. Otherwise, when someone come up to that kind of a desperate thing, what they do is quick relief, quick healing, quick therapies. Nowadays, American Buddhism means business Buddhism. They are using it for therapies and healing, spreading like anything. But the healer and the healed person both are sick. No end. So whenever the Munindra came here, together he was a colleague of Uba King, the Goenkaji. And when he come, he try his best to define the prevention and cure. And America is always specializing on the cure. He will try his best. The message is for the prevention. He told it's a failure. They are very happy to be Buddhist. They are very happy to be mindful. They are very happy to start the Vipassana directly. And they are ready to pay any amount. But you have to stop at cure level. Don't go for prevention. So he told that I don't know how many generations you have to go to understand the difference between the prevention is better than cure. And these are the crying questions on cure or healing. Of course, there should have a certain amount of relief in order to have a peace of mind, but the question don't stop at that level. You have to bring it back to the prevention. So before going and taking that perspective correct, answering this kind of question, you are committing by accepting the question. You must not get commit, you must analyze the question and see, please, analyze it and see. And then, as she mentioned, we can think about, we can come out with a disclaimer or disavowing. But as such, it presented in a paradoxical way.
Yeah, Bhante, I want to add to that, ask additional question. By having this duality, we create a lot of stress to ourselves, really? Because we are depending on the outside world and we are trying to punish ourselves, which is creating a lot of stress.
Of course, as an answer we can say we can't do away with duality. We have to understand that our life is duality. But the Buddha says there is a pressure releasing valve. There is a way out. You can single fold your mind, be here and now, and see how stressful is the dualistic mind, how releasing is the peaceful mind, the contented mind, the solitude mind, the contented mind, yes. And whenever you are going to live in this, with the social pressure and the responsibility, you are born with, you are living with, and you are to die with duality, without experiencing this unified, wholesome mind. That's often people consider as a really religious, but it is not religious, it's an endowment, it's a gift. So try the ways and means, occasionally, not all the time, to unify yourself, entertain the wholeness of the mind, accepting this as a unity, accepting the whole, without dividing and put into duality. And then and there you will understand, you are not born with this, you are not inherited with this utter torturing. There's a way out. And when you are trying, you have option next, how much you are going to have the duality and the tension, how much you are going to entertain that unity or one-pointedness or center, unified mind, and feel contentment, feel solitude. And then that particular person have a kind of a good outlook, good way out towards one's own life, and then he or she may decide this much time or this much space I am going to give for the spirituality or to be here and now, this much I am going to give with the social work and responsibilities, and slowly you get your help into your hand. That means you are little by little gaining certain amount of agenda. Otherwise you don't know with whose agenda you are working. At the end of the life or at the deathbed only you come to know everything you did was just created a friction, just heat, just aberration, without even a door opening, without no window opening to see. There was kind of a situation you can be contented without any external thing. As a human being you are endowed with, for that of course you need at the beginning the external, internal, micro and macro conducive conditions. Once it is familiarized, you can understand when such a thing happens, that is it a must for me to live, or it is due to this social relationship or responsibility, so-called responsibility, this is the outcome. And if it is so, are you responsible for the society or are you responsible for your well-being? At least a fair proportion for one's own well-being, because no one can do it for yourself. So that is why the Buddha says, be mindful and mind your own business. Of course, mind for your own business is one what I proposed. Otherwise you have the vested interest. You consider as I am a person, I can do this and that, and you vest abilities upon yourself and burning the candle from the both the ends. Ultimately you are finding fault with others, telling they are creating pressure to me. Never. You are the one invited. And still, even if you are macerated and tortured and crucified, next moment is a fresh one. Still the potential is there. So how compassionate is the nature? Even if you have done past mistakes and you are tortured and you are macerated and you are crucified, next moment is fresh. So therefore you are not eternally destined to the hell. Fresh chance is there. For that you have to have the intellect, you must have the preparedness, you must have theoretical understanding, you must have a certain amount of faith to start with this business, and then only you can realize within short time.
Honorable Bhante, as I practice walking meditation, is it possible for me to know the beginning and end of the process as in breathing meditation?
Of course, as a process, you entering into the meditation, the walking path is the beginning, and while you are walking it is the middle, and when you are leaving the path will be the end, as far as the process is concerned. And then we can go, can we see the beginning, the middle and the end of the left leg, and the beginning, the middle and the end of the right leg? Then it is not so clear-cut as in-breath and out-breath. In-breath and out-breath is exclusively separate from each other. But in walking meditation, they are interrelated, complementary each other. So therefore, very difficult to see the end of the right leg without getting involved with the beginning of the left leg. So therefore, this question is, when you go into deep, there is. And therefore, at the beginning, what you do is the middle of the left leg, middle of the right leg, again middle of the left leg, middle of the right leg. That may be the touch of your heel on the ground and the pressure you feel, the coldness, moving nature, stable nature, all kind of things. But more and more you familiarize, just like in the in-breath and out-breath, you are adverting mind more towards the beginning of the left leg and the beginning of the right leg. More and more you go there, the complexity starts. The beginning of the right leg is end of the left leg. So there ultimately you see, even though you try to cut it into episodes, it is a process. There is no single action. You can't separate them out. So each and every part, so-called left leg and the right leg, they are interrelated to each other, but our rational mind is asking cut and dry pieces. Cut and dry pieces, somewhat you can achievable in the in-breath and out-breath, but in the walking meditation it is challenging. It is like a cyclic. One person mentioned, when you are walking in the water up to your knee level, you can see the right leg complete in a cycle, left leg is complete in a cycle, you can see the friction with water. Or when you are pedaling a push bike, left leg and right leg is not a horizontal movements, it is it's a cyclic movements. So they are, both of them are taking the pressure throughout the entire circle. But still, even though two processes are going on, mindfulness can be maintained. It must be not necessarily be complicated. So therefore, two processes taking place, or two lobes of the same process taking place, you try to try to keep the track with whatever may be prominent, whatever may be conspicuous, and while observing you can see while you are releasing the pressure from the right leg, left leg is assuming the pressure. Whenever releasing the left leg, the right leg is assuming the pressure. So whatever the thing happen, the mindfulness can maintain. So that means at a given time, two processes are being observed, but within the process, the experience sometimes is very prominent or sometimes very subtle. These changes are happening. So therefore, mindfulness in the walking meditation is more towards the energizing, mobilizing to the energy. But in sitting, mindfulness is more towards the concentration and one-pointedness. So, two different tastes.
Dear Bhante, this morning meditation session I felt the observing mind could follow the stream of consciousness as an outsider. Other than the incoming and outgoing breath, thoughts connecting to the past and the plans of future popped up occasionally. Then the mind recognized the work of Maha during the mind to commit volitional activities. But the mindfulness was sharp enough to avoid them. My body's capacity for a peaceful sitting is a little more than an hour. So the mind received messages from the body after 1 hour and came back to the normal wandering mind. Bhante, please comment on this information, whether my meditation is on the right direction or not.
Of course, when you are sitting at meditation time period is 1 hour, but if you are going for a chess game, you will sit 6 hours without any problem. That indicates how it entertains it. Because the meditation appears like a task, it appears like a regimentation, so therefore it is like little bit in sour in taste. There's something very attractive like card game or chess game or something like that, no problem. So therefore there are no standard. It is justified by then and there by its desirability and undesirability. And the other thing is that the early part of the expression, it says when you are observing, somewhat related to the early question, while the breath keep in view it, you can see a lot of other activities are taking place in the background and the foreground. Sometimes in side by side. And there you must employ, you must make use the priority. So for that we use the primary object as the priority. It's something assumed, assigned. Primary object, we take it as a benchmark, we take it as a pivotal point, and does not indicate you are only looking or only one given time primary object should live. It is not the situation. There are a lot of other things are happening. Whatever the thing happens, if the primary object is achievable, if the primary object is in view with, meditation is progressive. When and where other objects, so to say, become prominent and your accessibility, your keeping in view with the primary object is lost, it's a wastage of time. So therefore primary object is something like to be verified. It must not be the most prominent, it must not be the priority, but it must be somewhere in the stage, not the main actor, even at subsidiary. Main actor may be pain, main actor may be a sound or thought, but even then your accessibility, your reachability to the primary object is there so much so you are not in a mistaken. You are not mistaken. So therefore, take the primary object as a, I don't know, it is on the whetstone is not the proper term, to check it. When you are bringing the gold, you rub it against kind of a stone and say whether it's a real gold or not. So that, how do you call it? Touchstone. Touchstone. So the breath is the touchstone. to see whether I am astray, I am imaginary, I am in a daydreaming. You can have the breath, have the touch with the in-breath and out-breath, you are not misled. So therefore, yet another aphorism you can draw, if you have confidence, later it may come automatically without a touchstone and without the breath, let this happen. Come or go Chicago. You just go. Whenever you have any doubt, please use the breath as the touchstone. Each time you are going to check with the touchstone, your speed will be reduced. Otherwise, you let anything happen, take the responsibility, and then you go. That is what you call the original kind of faith. That is not the superficial kind of faith. It is happening due to your past experience, and you know, no doubt. But I am working in unknown area. I don't know the map. It's a novelty. Never mind. You jump. In the Zen Buddhism, it says, all the frog jump into an old pond, plop. That's it. Don't ask the map and any kind of thing. Jump into the water, plop. That's it. That means you are ready to play with your life. You are ready to play with your body. Till that you are not faithful enough. Till that always you need a touchstone to see whether I am in the correct path, whether I am in samatha, whether I am in vipassana, whether I am going forward or backward. These are all entertaining doubts, camouflaged, or it says it is the perverted way, appear like the wisdom. So whatever you call wisdom is nothing but camouflaged doubts. Vanchanika Dhamma, that is, doubt appear like wisdom. But it contributes to just wastage of time. You just keep on testing rather than advancing. So after a while in a meditation, after the Kankha Vitarana Visuddhi, you develop out of your past experience, nothing to check, nothing to test again and again, let it happen, then only the momentum gathers, and then only you are ready to go to the new areas, new novelties and adventurous things. Otherwise our mind is so conservative. It has so much of fear for new things, on fear of freedom. So therefore we always look backward. We always need a touchstone to see whether I am lost or not. So much so, you never feel adventurous, you never feel like a Girl Guide or Boy Scout, you always think about back at home. You are not ready to go and have a camp in the forest without any protection, and that is how the adventure means. That is why the monk's life is. But so you have so much of love to your body, love to your life, so therefore never ready to take any risk. Always nothing but with the touchstone. It is not a progress, but it is a good sign. Now we have the unhindered potential there, but after a while, without any testing, you using the touchstone, you develop kind of adventurous or risk-loving kind of a thing. You know, in the business world, the biggest achievement get for the people, those who entertain risk-loving investments. They are ready to go and then they win it. So each and everyone start like a conventional businessman, and towards the end you will be a risk lovers, and then the progress starts.
Dear Bhante, during my meditation sittings, I have experienced different forms of get to know breath within inverted commas. 1, filling lungs and empty my lungs. Number 2, airflow in and out, inside and inside the nostrils. Number 3, airflow inside the nostrils and moving it very high, feel like it is going out of my body through the head and feels like stretching a spring. It is very long. Out breath goes down nose and moving towards to nowhere and stops like compressing the spring. In some sittings, only one form happens. Some other sittings, a combination of all three or two forms happen. Am I observing my breath in the correct way?
Whenever you are observing a object, materialistic object, it has three dimensions. One thing is natural, the shape. Second thing is the manner. The third one is its own natural characteristics. So whenever you see an object, first and foremost we touch is the shape. It is like a snapshot. If you take it, you can see the shape. But instead, if you open a video camera, with the time, how that shape is changing, that is called manner. Video camera is giving more information than a film shot. So shape, the manner, and when you observe more and more closely, you may understand these shapes and manners are fast changing without giving a split second. Fast changing, that is because your immediacy with the object increases, the distance between the object and the observed mind reduces. When it happens, you may find the shapes and the manners are shifting in a flux. You can't even label it. You can't even get a sign. Quick changing. So therefore that process start with the shape and then go to the manner, and still if you go further, it loses all the shapes and the manner, go into a flux. Everything appear like a flux. So that is how it happens. So therefore this is talking about the shapes and the manners. So that means on the way. Observe it without giving any lapses of mindfulness, and what happens is the object and the mind becomes so close. And when and where the flux come into being, ultimately the object and the mind merge each other, hug each other, and then there are no objects, but the mindfulness stand. Mindfulness without a wavering, it can stay. But now mindfulness is depending on the shapes. Mindfulness is depending on the manners, because mindfulness is still gathering the momentum. They are just tottering and start learning walking, and need some kind of a rails, need kind of a thing to hang. And after a while it will start walking without any kind of a support and start running, Olympic, and that is how it develops. So when it is becoming so fast without the help of the shapes and the manner, ultimately the object and the observed mind, when become unified, you are just an experience rather than observe differences. You just start to experience something, whether it is seeing or hearing or smelling or touching, whatever it may be. So that is the point onward the Vipassana is going to start. These are the preliminary stages or foundation for the Vipassana.
There are no more written questions, so we have about 16 minutes more for the session, so we can get questions from the participants.
No, we have 15 minutes have gone beyond.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what I told you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so we have already gone off time.
It's okay. Lunchtime.
Never mind, being the chief organizer, you are excused.
Yeah, I think it was very interesting. I think that's why we are
Okay, thank you very much for the participation. We will be meeting here at about 4 o'clock for the Dhamma talk.